Ladies and gentlemen, this is your host Griever here, and I need to tell you something. I need to give you a public announcement, a public message to the people. Have you ever had a theory? A theory, perhaps popular. A popular theory shared by many of the fans of the same fan base as you. And have you waited with bated breath onto how long you would have to wait? Well, the answer to that question for some fan bases is maybe tomorrow, maybe next year, and maybe never. But today, for My Hero Academia fans, that day is today, because Dabi is a Todoroki. Yes, this is not a review of chapter 290 My Hero Academia. What matters from this chapter, this is not a review, this is just a yes. Collectively, there were so few. I'm going to just put a number on it, all right? 90% of the fan base knew that Dabi was a Todoroki. Knew that he was Toya Todoroki. They assumed, some had skepticism, but easily 90% of the fan base could either see it or believed in that theory. I don't feel like that's an unfair number. There's the 10% of the community that just didn't see the signs. Then there's the rest of us who went, yeah, Dabi's going to end up being the long-lost brother. Maybe he has amnesia. Maybe he turned evil because of, Endeavor. Think about how Endeavor treated. Endeavor is not a nice person. He is not a good person. He traumatized his wife into a mental hospital, and he physically and mentally abused his children. He is not a good person. So it's not out of the realm that he either suffered, like Toya or Dabi, regressed to this point that he didn't even know who he was anymore to save his own mind from shattering. That's like a coping mechanism. Or it's the same with Shoto, who basically just hates his father and went rogue, went evil. You could easily see how Shoto Todoroki could have went into the villains. He could have became a villain. You can see that in his backstory very easily. That would be a sympathetic. And right now, Dabi is sympathetic. Most actually of the characters of the League of Villains are sympathetic. That's their whole fight. Their whole fight is the fact that they were mistreated. It's not so much just a, oh, woe is me sob story for some of them. You got to think about characters of Twice. Quirks aren't all equal. Not in power, not in ability, and certainly not mentally, and how they are going to be handled. There is going to be problems. The Twice's ability made him go, quite honestly, gave him a disorder, multiple different disorders. It gave him multiple personality disorder. It gave him an anxiety disorder. It gave him so many different, an identity disorder. It gave him so many problems, right? For example, and here with Dabi, we would know the exact same thing. And Dabi is one of my favorite characters in My Hero Academia. Dabi and Twice are actually in my top 5 favorite characters in My Hero Academia. So it wasn't if, it was when. And here in chapter 290, we get the reveal. And the way it was done, I didn't even consider this aspect of when Dabi would be revealed. Because I was still questioning, does Dabi even know who he truly is? And if he does, what's going to happen? Clearly he does know. And the opening pages of chapter 290, where they're like, shut the TV off. Kill the TV in room 315. She's been doing so well for so many years. Turn that damn broadcast off. Because they knew. And the moment I saw that, I didn't even need to know who they were talking about. I didn't even need to see the next page. That first panel, it was like, or first 2 panels, I was like, oh no. Oh no. Some people might have thought, oh, maybe we're going to jump over and like Bakugo was skewered, maybe Shoto or somebody, or Endeavor was skewered. No. You knew it was going to be something with Dabi. I was surprised by how it was done, but I knew that first page. I'm like, it's time. It's not a milestone chapter, which, by the way, making a video about that. It's, about milestones in manga being a big deal. But chapter 290, just any old chapter. It's not chapter 300. It's not chapter 200. It's not chapter 500. It's not the 10-year anniversary chapter. It's just a chapter. And the reveal of Dabi as a Todoroki, not only to Endeavor and Shoto who are there, and, mocking them and making fun of them and all that stuff and telling him his backstory, but he also reveals that he has it on broadcast. They hijacked the broadcast signal, and now the rest of the nation knows too. It was done so cleverly. It was building up to this moment. Like right away, he says, I have a great name, another name. My name is, you can call me Toya. And I think it's, I pulled it up here just so I didn't get this wrong. Pages 10 and 11 on the Viz translation, official Viz, definitely. Sees the shocked faces of Shoto and Endeavor. And then we jump back over to the TV screen where his mother, Endeavor's wife, is sitting there watching this in her room, hearing, I am Toya Todoroki, the eldest son of Endeavor. To date, I've killed over 30 innocent people in cold blood. Like, no. Like, not only do you feel bad for Dabi, but right now, mentally, you know that this is going to, any progress that Endeavor's wife made is gone. She is not going to recover from this. There is no happy ending for the Todoroki family. Because no matter what they tried to build up, Toya or Dabi picked the right time when the healing was taking place. The most vulnerable state, ladies and gentlemen, of when somebody goes through the 5 stages of grief or progression it's never at the beginning. It's never at the end. It's right in the middle. It's right when the healing starts to take place. It's right when you go through those emotions, when you start the process, not in the very early stage and not at the very tail end of acceptance, because then you might have enough willpower to be strong enough. Not that you still can't be traumatized or affected, but you can push through it. But the most vulnerable state for anybody going through major things like that in their life, and there's multitude, it doesn't just have to be some crazy ex-husband who tortured your children and then they turn into supervillains. No, it could be a multitude of things, anything significant, anything major that affected you, that traumatized you. The most vulnerable state you will be in is in the middle of the process of healing. And right now, she was in that process. The entire Endeavor's family, the Todoroki family, was in that middle ground process. We've seen that through this arc. That's the process they were in. And there's no happy ending. I feel... Wow, I need a drink. You guys know very well on my videos, I always have a beer on board, right? I always have a beer ready to go, for most of the time. Or a cup of tea or something. But when I say, and I've done this in reviews when I've been angry, I've done this when it's emotional, I've done this when I'm upset. When I say, not when I just take a sip, just, all right, let's take a sip. But when I actually say, I need a drink, it's not because of my throat, it's not because of that, it's because this is now weighing down. It's settled in now, hasn't it? The weight of the implications of this chapter, this is going to break her. And she, even though this is a Dabi chapter, it's a Todoroki family chapter. And she's not going to recover. She's going to be stuck in that mental asylum, in that hospital, till she dies. And she's never going to heal. Not from this. And I did not expect that from My Hero Academia. My Hero Academia picked up so much since it started the last couple of arcs. Since the Gentle arc till now has been the best parts of My Hero Academia. It's only gotten better. It turned from a standard shonen mixed with Western superhero, elements into something that had merit, that had fullness, that had substance. sustenance even. It had something. And here we're seeing that. It's shocking, it's surprising, it's dark. And I'm 110% on board. This was, like, you guys can disagree with me. Like the other members might, get through this. Endeavor is probably death flags for Endeavor all over the place. Death flags for Endeavor. Endeavor going to die by the end of the series. Maybe not this arc, but at the end of the series, Endeavor's going to die. I'm getting those death flags 110% after this chapter. Shoto's probably going to be the last surviving member. I don't know about the other two kids, Fumiya and Natsuo. I'm not sure where they're going to be. The mother's never going to recover. Maybe even commit suicide over this. I know that's dark, but this whole family thing could be in an R-rated storyline, right? So, Dabi does not explain how everything happened to him, but he freely says he does despicable acts and stuff because of his father. He explains basically it's the same story as Todoroki, as Shoto, right? It's the same story, except it was before him. It was the first time. He couldn't beat All Might, so he was a bad person, and he decided to make, as he put it, my father created me. I wasn't born. I wasn't his son. My father created me in pursuit of his own dreams. But as he says, I was a failed creation, and he rejected me. And it's just these murderous flames of mine are Endeavor's flames, because they're who I inherited them from. He goes on to, throughout this chapter, he talks about, I just don't want to miss anything, guys, so I'm making sure to read the panels as we go through this video. But he continues to talk. We see snippets of the broadcast of what he's saying, and he's basically going along saying the story in real time to the people present, to all the heroes there, to Endeavor and Shoto right there in front of him, saying he's been pondering all ever since this day. He tells them he's broadcasting it. And here's another heartbreaking line. And this is what I didn't want to miss. He said, I couldn't figure out why I even existed, and every day I'd crawl to Natsuo, crying my eyes out. Not that you ever knew, right? To Endeavor. Remember, Natsuo is the little brother, not the elder. So the older brother runs and cries to the little brother for comfort. The twisted, the implications of that are even twisted, because generally it's the eldest that takes the abuse and protects the smaller ones from it. In lieu of the smaller one taking it. It's always the little brother runs to the protection of the older brother, and then the older brother goes a little overprotective or batshit crazy or whatever, because they suffered more abuse than no abuse is acceptable, but a tolerance level. So people reach a point and then their mind snaps, right? You can only be pushed so far. And in this case, it's even more twisted because he ran to his little brother. There was nobody there protecting him. Nobody was trying. There was nobody there. And so he only had one person to turn to, which was his little brother, of all people. And what was his little brother supposed to do? And from what we understand here, he doesn't blame Natsu. He even admits, I run crying to him every day. Now, how that took place, this is going to be a turning point for Dabi as a character. I want to see Dabi meet with Natsu, or Natsuo. It depends on the translation, guys. Viz says it's Natsu, but I think they're trying to get away from Fairy Tail by saying he's Natsuo. But either way, it's very interesting. I'm now, the one thing that made me super curious after all this very dark, very implied, scary implications of what this is going to bring for the rest of the family is that I want to see the interaction between Dabi and Natsu. Because that, I think, will be a very emotional chapter. That'll be very bringing up the emotions up to the neck. Coming, they're coming. The heat is rising. No pun intended. And he basically continues to say, you're finally number one. You accomplished it all. And, it's finally... And he knows at this time, you finally can face the future. You became number one. Now you can repair your family as though, you still have time, as though it's not too late. And even says that the past never dies. You reap what you sow. So let's dance with your son in hell. And that's the end of the chapter. And Endeavor and Todoroki, or Endeavor and Shoto, are just completely terror-stricken by this. Apparently he had dyed his hair or like put a bunch of charcoal in his hair all the time, because Dabi pours a bottle of water over his hair to show that it's, I'm assuming, the same color, a white, a blonde, something like that. It's not the black hair that we thought he had. I've never watched the anime, guys, so I don't know what color they gave Dabi's hair. But I'm assuming, it's manga, black and white, so I'm assuming a dark colored hair to a light colored hair. Let's go with that. He did end up saying about how he thought, because Shoto achieved what Endeavor wanted, even though Shoto was also scarred by this and all this stuff, and his mother and his father and stuff, and the abuse he suffered and all that stuff. Shoto was a success, unlike Dabi. Dabi was a failure. And so in Dabi's mind, he even said that I thought about killing your little prized possession Shoto might be the way to do the trick. But, to get back at you. But then, so he was going to kill his own flesh and blood, his brother, who didn't do anything wrong, who suffered the same way he suffered, and he couldn't even empathize with that. That's how much the abuse got to Dabi. That's how much it just twisted him. Anyways, there's so many people out there that are going to be reviewing this chapter. I'm assuming that other people like definitely Tekking, who doesn't review My Hero Academia on a week-to-week basis. But I do remember when he first started doing that after Bleach ended, and then he went over to One Piece instead, but he still continues to make My Hero Academia content, and I know this is going to be a big thing he's going to talk about. I'm sure a lot of people who follow My Hero Academia and have YouTube channels, but don't, it's not a weekly thing for them, they're going to make videos just like I am about this topic. They're going to talk about the implications. They'll have theories about what's going on. I've already explained all mine. As I said, at the the middle half of this video, I really think that they're never going to recover from this. There's death flags for Endeavor. There's suicide flags for the mother. I forget her name. There's suicide flags for the mother. And even if she never dies, she's never getting out of them. Like, any progress she's made is now broken. Anything in the family, any sort of trust or any sort of bond they started to try to put back together with their father, Endeavor, is now, it's going to be shattered after this. And now we have the implied Natsu and Dabi confrontation, where just that one line of Dabi saying that that's who he ran to is going to bring huge implications for when they finally confront each other. This My Hero Academia stepped it up. They've really been stepping it up, and we all knew this was going down. As I said at the beginning of this video, everyone who makes My Hero Academia theories, anybody who does theories in general, we all called Dabi being the dead son of Endeavor, the eldest boy who was killed. We all called it. It didn't make this chapter any less impactful. We all knew it was coming, and it happened today, and it was fire today. No pun intended. All right, so that's the video. I hope it didn't run for like half an hour or whatever. I just really needed to bring my thoughts towards this. There was a break on One Piece especially as well. So, and I felt like this was the best chapter of the week. No question. Even if One Piece did release, we'll have to wait and see about the next chapter. But this chapter, I think this wins the month. This wins the month of November for manga chapters. I don't know how any chapters going to compete with this in the next following weeks, because the implications, what was black and white there and what's in between the lines. I mean, we're playing 4D chess here. So thanks guys so much for watching. I know it's a bit of a somber video and very dark video, but that's what this is. This is extremely dark, and that's why I wanted to talk about it. So this is a huge shift from where My Hero Academia started and now where it's at. The evolution of this manga is surprising, but very, very a good surprise. So thanks guys so much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to drink responsibly. As always, as I do, your host Griever as always. We'll see you back here next time. Peace out, ladies and gentlemen.